Big game, big attendance, big win. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Love that theme tune. Or maybe I just love everything after yesterday, but what are you going to do? Welcome everybody to the Blue Monday podcast. Get your comments going in the chat. We're reading all of them. And when we do get over to the question section, we can take some questions. But if you're watching on YouTube, Dave, this might be podcast bunker 2.0.
It seems like a...
Yeah, this is my garage, Dave.
Is it your garage? Oh, fantastic. It's a conversion job, is it? Well done. Well
it's
done.
Richard, it's only cost me twice as much as I thought it would and taken 4 times as long as I thought it would.
It sounds like it's lead lined, Ben. Are you all right? Is it an apocalypse that you're protecting
exactly.
yourself from?
Is it doubling up as a shelter?
It is. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Say hello to Robert, Lee, Charlie, Matt, Kirk, Michael, Mullet, Dan, Romeo, Veronica, Gary, James, Adam. There we go. David.
No pressure.
David, Ipswich Town do not win big games. They have had big wins. They do not win big games, certainly since we've been doing the pod. And I always remember Mikey bringing it up. It's been many, many years. I am so pleased they won yesterday. It was a big game and they nearly, but didn't, I'm going to use the word, bottle it for once.
No, they didn't. They turned up yesterday. And to be fair, I think everyone would agree, well, Pompey fans probably, but 3-2 flattered Portsmouth, especially our first half display, which I thought we were excellent first half. We just got the job done. Yeah, it was closer than it should have been, really, because we were pretty dominant throughout. I mean, you can tell by possession again, but you can tell by possession in the stats. But yeah, it was other than that, we'll get onto it. But other than the 2 penalties and a Marlon Pack free kick, didn't really lay a glove on us, did they, Rich? Really?
They did not. And
Richard, let me just ask you a question. Not a big win, but a big game. When did Ipswich Town go for this in the chat, by the way, guys? When did Ipswich Town last win a big game? I think the win at Wickham last season was a big win. I think the win at Aston Villa, Dave, we went to was a big win.
Do you know what? A proper big game at Portman Road. A proper big game
at Portman Road as well.
You might even have to go far as back as Arsenal first leg of the League Cup semi-final was a big game with massive
2011 was it?
11? Yeah, January 2011. Honestly,
with the numbers in the crowd in the stadium as well, because that's a fact for us as well.
Yeah.
Don't like the big numbers,
big crowd. It was awesome.
Michael in the chat, playoff semi v Bolton. There's honestly. Well, I know what he's saying. Do you know? But this is the point we've made so many times, Rich, on the pod. And I've made many times this season already about a culture of winning big games and, indulging in the big moments, and just so pleasing yesterday, wasn't it?
And the fact that we went for it as well from minute one. It's not like we were trying to, use the spectacle to lift us or, all of the surroundings to try and lift us.
Not like in an FA Cup game, right?
For the occasion. We actually, as Dave said, we absolutely peppered their goal for the first 20 odd minutes before we scored. And for once, you kind of thought, right, we're up for this. And, to come back twice as well from adversity. And the guys spoke about it post-match. I think McKenna mentioned it, and the disappointments we've had the last couple of weeks probably really helped us. We have to reflect on McKenna's always talking about learning and coming out of certain matches and reflecting on the development that we need to take from it rather than just focusing on the positives. And, Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth, we've learned the hard way about dropping points. We didn't do that on Saturday, did we? So, no, happy.
So big thank you, Dave, before you go
Gary.
on to Gary in the chat. Thank you, Gary.
Do you know what? I think
on the super chat. Thank
Reece joined us to the Telegram group as well, Gary. So thank you, Gary.
Oh, well in, Gary.
Oh, he was, yeah. Thanks, Gary. I think, the big difference yesterday, I think also what made a hell of a difference where we've been perhaps a little bit critical over the last 2 weeks were the substitutions.
Great shout. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, let's get on to that. And we've been going around this, hadn't we? These 3 huge games, and we discussed, is it preferential to play one big team and then have a nice little run and play another one and another one? And we kind of, it is what it is, and you had to play the 3 big games in a row. And then we're all saying, okay, 6 points, and we're laughing. 5 points is okay, and then you get 1 point from the first 2 games. That it kind of had turned in. Not Dave looking at the points total. If we'd have drawn yesterday, no problem with that. But in terms of the context of you literally, if you finish in the top 6, you have to win 3 big games in 10 days at the end of the season in the playoffs. It kind of became a must-win, not for the points on the board, Dave, but for the
psychology.
Yeah.
Psychologically, that was an important win yesterday. Definitely. Oh, David
at it again. What a legend!
Crikey.
Yeah, thank you, David. €20 super chat.
Go on,
Dave. But that psychology now, me being selfish and wanting more and more and more, I want them to win another big game. Then I want them to win an away game against the big side, right?
Yeah. Which we did last season. You know, you could say last season we went to Wickham, did a job on them, didn't we? Went to Portsmouth, did a job. Right, Portsmouth perhaps weren't flying as they are, going as well as they were this season. But we can do it, and no, that was most pleasing. Like you said, psychologically, that was a massive win yesterday.
Right, let's get into this thing because the selection last week was so close to being brilliant with the Jackson at wing back, Richard. But I was surprised actually to see Tyrese John Jules starting in this one. But Rich, let's just bang through that Ipswich team. You can give me your thoughts. Walton in goal, Edmondson, Wolfenden, Danassian, Davison, Burns, Morsey, Evans, Harness, Chaplin. Well, I've already mentioned the one interesting call-in. John Jules, Rich, what are your thoughts?
I think all of us are in the same boat, Ben, on that one. It appears that Caden Jackson's an away player, perhaps, and it certainly suited the system last week, and it did a Burton and all that kind of stuff as well. So, what I love is 90% of that, 95% of that team, I think most of us could name. We were trying to be clever on the pre-match show, and lots of suggestions of potentially different formations and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, really, the only debate apart from that front position, and I thought Ladapo might get the nod because of Pompey being more of a physical team, was Edmondson at centre-back, but he came in on the left-hand side. It was we were kind of bemoaning the lack of a Burgess on Saturday. That would have been tailor-made, him versus Colby Bishop. But
more
John Jules,
later.
Yeah, well, and it was difficult for me to understand the John Jules from the first half because I'm in the North Stand lower. I couldn't really see what he contributed, but having watched the highlights and heard Ian Westlake's thoughts, he appeared to have a good game. Second half, maybe both he and the tens kind of faded a little bit, but I love how McKenna keeps us guessing a little bit. And as we said on the Telegram, it means the opposition don't know what to expect either. But
that's very true.
Other than that, it's as you were, isn't it? And that's that front nine, that front position, just. Yeah, maybe Ladapo's played himself into some form now, but other than that, everything else picks itself, doesn't it?
Long
answer,
Dave,
sorry.
No. Dave, I thought it was a bit of a gamble to play John Jules. I thought it would be Ladapo as well.
Yeah, I thought it would be Ladapo. When I saw this side, I was quite surprised. Has he, correct me if I'm wrong, has he played so far this season in that central role up top on his own? Had he played that before?
Shrewsbury.
Maybe Shrewsbury
and
had
scored. Okay. Yeah, he was good in that game, but different opposition, isn't it? I'm intrigued by the thoughts from McKenna there, and obviously, it
was different opposition. Perhaps he just thought he would be, a little bit more cuter and pull the central two because they were playing effectively a 4-4-2. I think seemingly a 4-4-2, wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Looked like it.
4-4-2.
4-4-2. And maybe they thought he would, John Jules would perhaps pull their central two around a bit more. But I guess I thought he was very good first half. I mean, we all were, all the team was, but I thought his touch and everything, he looked classy first half. Very good.
Yeah.
Bench, Ladapo, Edwards, Bull, Vincent Young, Jackson, Keogh, Hladky, Dave. This is a good-looking Pompey team with the right players in the right holes for the system and the type of football they want to play. Griffiths in goal, Ogilvie, Morrison. Every time Michael Morrison leaves the club, I always think, oh, he's kind of stepped down. I thought I've still got him halfway up the Championship, and he went off to
Ogilvie for me was a weird one at first because he was playing left. He was sort of playing down the left with playing right-footed on the left side, which was quite
out of necessity because of injuries, Dave.
Yeah, I would have thought. Yeah.
Right, Raggett, Robertson, Dale, Pack, Morel, Karoma, how did they get him? Bishop and Scarlett, who Kieran McKenna referred to as one of the best young players in Europe. That's one of the Ipswich John Chills. I wonder if McKenna maybe.
I think he actually. I thought he said. I saw somewhere it said the world. I saw somewhere.
Oh, really?
I'm sure it said that.
Well,
it was a little bit over top. My only thought about Scarlett. How good would it have been if he'd been captain? How good would it have been if he'd been captain, Scarlett?
Hey.
Come on now.
That's one for the kids.
One of my friends tweeted something about Thunderbirds the other day, and the Jerry Anderson account liked the tweet, and he got very, very excited.
I would say that was a 1970s Super Mario Nation reference for those old enough out there to recall that.
Bench for Pompey. So let me just bring that up. Curtis Tunnicliffe. I think he's just Hackett now. He just wears Hackett on his back. We call him that. Jacobs, Mingy, Ron Swanson, and Josh. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing that because I will just butcher it. Dave, Kieran McKenna always talks about fast starts. Did we get one? Take me up to the first goal.
Yeah, we absolutely took it to them, didn't we? Right from the off, really. Absolutely right from the off. Everyone was on it. You know, again, that sort of Danasian Burns axis was working well down the right side. Burns looked on it. I thought it was perhaps Burns' best game of the season, actually. I really did. So again, first half, we were so good first half. Chaplin hit the post. There was a bit of a scramble in the box. Chaplin hit the post. John Jules perhaps should have scored from a Davis pullback. It was all pretty dominant, really. And
Rich, just the quality of Chaplin for the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we have to give credit for Morsey as well.
Yeah,
breaking up midfield. I think it's is it Dale that gets the ball off as well?
Dale. Yeah.
Who had a bit of a strange game. Maybe lucky to end the game on the pitch. And Chaplin's alive. John Jules is involved as well. But Chaplin's just instinctive, isn't he? And gets that ball through to Harness. And I guess we're all sat there thinking, bloody hell, that's a long old time to think about this one. Harness isn't, we have to be honest, Harness hasn't had maybe a good couple of weeks and from the high standards that he's set since he's joined. But really calm, he lets Griffiths come out and maybe Griffiths overcommits a little bit early, slots it underneath him and dream part way through the first half, and Harness celebrates the goal as you want them to do against an old team. Taps the badge, doesn't he? And Portman Road is in delirium, and no less after a really impressive, plenty of goal attempts. Starting to get a little bit apprehensive that we're not going to take them, and then we do just at the right time, and it's a really nice finish.
Those two look pretty indispensable now. I mean, I get a bit kind of, 2-10s or whatever. It's a front three, isn't it? They're scoring goals and they're chipping in, Dave, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It was really good from Chaplin. It was a lovely weighted ball. Because you can get that, it's not easy. I mean, he's running forward, and it actually played it off his wrong foot. He played it off his right foot. And I think props to Harness, who had obviously come in off the left and timed his run perfectly. You see a ball slip through that, where I sit, immediately looking at the linesman in front of me, who, to be fair, didn't give anything all day, let alone throwing her on a offside, for Christ's sake.
Literally says that every week, Rich.
I mean, no, they don't. They don't. I kid you not. There was a definite second half, a foul on that. Well, we'll get into that. He takes a couple of touches, squares the keeper up, doesn't he? And it's a really confident finish. And he was getting it. He was getting it big time from the Pompey fans all game, pretty much. So I think that was a kind of sweet moment for him, really.
Yeah, Raggett didn't cover himself in glory, did he? I mean, he's not the quickest, but
they just too far
parting
apart,
of the waves, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But we see all these numbers about winning the ball in the final third, and I mean, without sounding like a smug Ipswich fan, we show up well on most numbers. But if you're gonna be ahead on winning the ball I know I didn't win it in the final third, but essentially high up in terms of where the game is, do something with it. Quickly out your feet, Bosch. In behind goal. You love to see it. But what you don't love to see, Dave, is a penalty not long after this. Just quickly, I think we're all okay. This is the right decision, and it's a genuine attempt to play the ball, so it's not a
it is.
Card,
it's just but as Rich said, as we both said, we were so dominant. It was just out of nothing. It really was out of nothing. And a big
we knew that was how they were going to score.
Well, I know.
And it was going to be direct.
It's a big punt forward from from Griffiths. And Edmondson, I thought, was back to somewhere near his best yesterday. I thought he was really good yesterday. Seemingly got sort of caught under the ball, didn't he? Where the ball sort of drops and he doesn't sort of done one thing or another and sort of like thighs it forward. And it's good from Dale. I must say, sort of criticise Dale for some of his antics and some of his play through the game.
It was a lovely first time.
It was a really, and again, a bit of a misjudgment. It was a weird one, wasn't it? Because Wolfenden sort of seems in a really good position, and basically, I think he just gets caught by the bounce of the ball. He sort of the ball almost spins.
But Dave, if he just ran back towards the goal, he would have been fine, wouldn't he? Would have been goal side of Scarlett,
he tries to attack it, gets caught there, sort of thing, and Scarlett just gets wrong side of him, and Walton's a genuine attempt to get the ball. He's just too clever for him and catches him late. Bishop penalty.
Scarlett's rapid as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
A little bit,
yeah, a little bit. Bishop penalty, hard and low, and unfortunately, Walton makes a good fist of it, goes the right way, but just sort of too much power and goes beneath him, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of a what? How? There was literally. We were so dominant up to that point. It was out of nothing. So sort of back on your heels a bit.
You agree with that, Rich?
Yeah, spot on. And yeah, I mean, it is one of those ones where you kind of think, man, this is just gonna turn now. It's just happened in the first half rather than the second half as it has in the previous weeks. But we settled back and overall I was expecting more from Portsmouth. I mean, we'll talk about the second half. They had a spell for 20 minutes where, they were the better team, I think, and maybe we'd regressed a little bit, and a little bit shell shocked perhaps, but I was expecting them to be pressing us much higher, and they did that a little bit, but Scarlett wasn't in the game really at all. Karoma wasn't in the game. Bishop was holding the stuff up, but really they weren't contributing a huge amount to the spectacle, Pompey, and for us to be so dominant, to have those chances and then to be pegged back from a penalty out of nothing. And I mean, both the penalties kind of came out of nothing, didn't they, Dave? It's like emotionally you're kind of thinking, brilliant, we're set here. This is great. Just hold on to it. Get a third, get a second, kind of thing. And then suddenly there are individual errors, aren't there? Even with the second one.
Yeah, there are. I think I've got to give a mention to a bit of skill from Chaplin. Now, goodness, every single game he seems to pull something out, and it's a ball that's sort of drilled into him. I think from maybe from Davies. Correct me if I'm wrong. It may be a straight ball from the bat. I can't remember. Ball's coming to him at pace, and he's sort of like, I don't know. He does it. He sort of flicks it up on his instep first time, and as he's falling, just plays the pass
the volley pass to
Burns, who's in. It was just outstanding. Every single game he comes up with something like that. Either that drop the shoulder where the defender just goes one way and he spins away, but this was something else. And I'll tell you what I compare it to. Probably one of the best passes I've ever seen was that 6-1 Man City, the David Silva swivel volley pass to Edin Dzeko when he goes one-on-one with De Gea in the 6-1 game. Just ridiculous. It was as good as that almost. It was absolutely outstanding. And Burns does well. If he hits it low, he probably scores. Or keeper makes a good save. But just breathtaking bit of skill.
So into the second half, Rich, does the pattern stay as is? I know Cowley goes to the bench first.
No, Pompey came out much better actually. They were a lot more compact, but they had a lot more of the ball. Not masses and masses of chances. There's a free kick from Pack, which is kind of swerving a little bit, and Walton gets double hands to it and fists it away. But I don't know, Dave, whether you agree Pompey dragged us down to their level a bit, or we just maybe we were a little bit shell shocked from the equaliser.
There was some antics going on, weren't there? Dale was a horrible little player, wasn't he? And you're right, he probably, just on totting up alone, he probably could have gone. He was late a few times, and he got away with it. Particularly one, I think that was him who caught Davies. That was a nasty one right in front. And this is what I'm saying, the linesman, it was literally 5 yards in front of the linesman. The linesman doesn't flag, he's obviously told not to for fouls and stuff. But Rich, I think you'd agree, there was much more even. But
crosses in the box they didn't really as well, but
there was a lot of meh when it was not meh football. They didn't really, other than the free kick, and that's what I said. Other than the free kick and the two penalties, they didn't really threaten. Their corners weren't great. I didn't think when they did have set plays, we think bloody hell, they got Raggett and some big guys there, but we dealt with them pretty well. And I'd agree with you.
We didn't do anything, did we? I mean, Morsey and Evans did.
No, weren't landing on the ball. You're right. It was just That's a bit harsh to say dragged us down to their level, but yeah, they probably managed the game pretty well. Start of the second half.
And the front three, Ben couldn't get on the ball either. The ball didn't stick with us really, and it would get up to halfway, and then it would be recycled back. But as Dave said, they weren't creating chances and testing Walton, and you kind of felt like they were happy with the point, and maybe it was just, we'll keep Ipswich at arm's length, and if we can sneak a set piece, and we know that they're the top scorers in the league on set pieces, then great, happy days. We'll have a 2-1 rather than a 1-0, but they looked happy with a 1-0, and we just didn't really have a huge amount going for us. And I was hoping that McKenna was going to make subs, and maybe, the subs, we'll talk about those because they changed the game in a second. I thought they were maybe 5 minutes too late, but as it happened, they were maybe perfectly timed, Dave. I don't know.
Well, here they come. Yeah. Here they come, the beautiful ones. And I mean, Freddie Ladapo and Kyle Edwards for Tyrese John-Jules and Marcus Harness. And Ladapo with his first touch, Dave, and giving a little bit back to the North Stand after a few sarcastic chants last week as well.
No,
great finish, though.
No, it was absolutely brilliant. Edmondson, I think it's Edmondson who does quite well, brings the ball out and lays it into I think initially he brings up which
Davis.
I think of the goal. Yeah, Davis, of course, because I'm thinking Edwards lays it into Davis, who does really well. Davis is improving, I think, week on week. Gets his advances, gets his head up, doesn't just put it in an area, but pulls it back. And this is a great finish, isn't it? From probably 10 yards out, just on sort of like the angle 10 yards out. Super first time, just swivels, finishes, top corner, keep top to the right of Griffiths in the top left corner. Just lovely finish from a surprisingly good finish from a guy who's, let's face it, up till now has been generally out of sorts. Getting pelters to a degree from the north, from Sir Bobby Robson and stuff. So yeah, absolutely brilliant finish and a good team goal, really.
Your thoughts, Rich?
Yeah, it was maybe we have to praise Edmondson. Because as we were saying, the ball wasn't really sticking in midfield, and there wasn't a huge amount of creativity. And Edmondson marauders up the field, doesn't he? And Davis had a decent game. I thought first half he got done a couple of times defensively, but overall, from an attacking sense, he made a big contribution. And as you say, I mean, it's a nicely weighted cross pass back, back across to him, and a really neat finish from Ladapo. And you're right to, as much as he deserves the ability to cup his ear to the North Stand, hopefully a little bit jovially rather than seriously. But his finishing in those situations hasn't been great. He's got, I don't want to slag off McGoldrick unnecessarily, but McGoldrick used to get in really good positions front and centre in the penalty area and hit them low and straight at the goalkeeper. This one was travelling, really nicely placed, really good technique, kind of a swivel side foot, and the North Stand goes crazy.
Swivel side foot. I like
and
that.
We've gone as similarly to the penalties, and we're going to talk about another one in a sec. Out of nowhere, really, that goal. We hadn't really imposed ourselves at all until that goal. So yeah, the mood lifted, and then it's going to change immediately.
Well, Rich, I'll stay with you. I think Dave coined the phrase "sucked the air out of the stadium." I love Sam Morsey. What you get is wholehearted, all in there tackling, but take me through this penalty.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the chat think about this. From what I've seen on Twitter, most people don't think this is a penalty.
Really?
I'm pretty confident it's a penalty. Comfortable that it's a penalty. And I think the mitigating circumstances is that Morsey wins the ball first, right? It's Curtis in the penalty area. From where I was in the North Stand, I kind of thought he might have been outside. Referee's obviously got a better view than I have. But he's clattered him to get, after the ball is cleared, he's clattered him in the area right on the edge. And, it's a really easy decision for the referee. He doesn't have to think too much about it. And the wind is taken out of our sails almost immediately, having, got back into the game, having not been anywhere near it. And to be fair to Colby Bishop, he stuck it the other way, sends Walton the wrong way. And Pompey game plan is working a treat, isn't it?
And incredibly, absolutely, but amazingly, what a bit of history that is. The first ever opposition player, to score 2 penalties at Portman Road. That is, I can't believe that, really. But that is true, because Stat even confirmed it, so it's true.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying it's not.
I thought I'd trigger a few people.
I'm not seeing why that would not be a penalty in the chat, but look, it is what it is. He's you're told to stand up, aren't you? And he's literally jumping in the air. And I dare say,
it's borderline dangerous.
I love all you guys. I love all you guys in the chat. But I dare say, if that was the other way around, I think you may be singing a different tune there. But it didn't matter, Dave, because we're going to get a bit of a muggy winner here.
I mean, again, out of nowhere, it's a minute later, isn't it? It's probably the next phase of play, pretty much after we kick off. But yeah, this is a good goal. Okay, bit fortuitous, perhaps the end of it, but it's good play. Davis gets a ball wide left and absolutely pings it in, doesn't he, to Ladapo? And this is where Ladapo's good. His first touch was good. You know, John Jules' first touch was great, but I don't think he's got Ladapo's overall physicality and presence about him. Ladapo does well, holds it up, holds off the defender, brings Davis in the play again, who just slips it right on the line of Edwards, and it's absolutely brilliant from Edwards. And he has got it in his locker. We've seen very, very rare flashes of it, but absolutely drives to the byline. Ogilvie does well actually to keep with him, I think. And what I like about Edwards, he can go left or right. He's comfortable seemingly on both sides. Goes to the byline, tries to stand up one to the back post. Yeah, Ogilvie gets a challenge in, and for once it goes our way, sort of deflects up, loops over Griffiths. Fairly average defending, I think, by Robertson on the line, who basically, I don't think he knows Burns is there even. He's sort of like ball watching, and fair enough, Burns has come off the right.
Dave, what do you want him to do? What, head it over the bar? You'd be taking the Adams to get that away, wouldn't you?
Well, I know, but you know what I mean. Surely he's got to try, but he just pretty much stands there and he's sort of ball watching, and lets Burns just have free nod. Thanks very much. Bang like this from 2 yards. Happy days.
Burns said it hit him in the face, and he thought it was what Burns said in his post-match, Rich. I don't know if you've seen it. He said he thought it was going to hit the bar, so he was kind of, maybe he's expecting hold your run and it's going to bounce back out.
I thought it's a borderline penalty on Edwards as well. I mean, we need to mention and McKenna was really positive on Edwards in his post-match, said it's the best he's trained in the last couple of weeks since he's been at the club. I wonder whether he might start on Tuesday against Cambridge, and down that left-hand side as well. McKenna was saying he's the best player we've got running, running one-on-one with an opposition player. He just dives straight for the line. He's trying to get a cut back. It's a really good. There's a triangle there of, I think it's Ladapo, probably Davis and Edwards, and I think Ogilvie's challenge is agricultural at best, and maybe everyone pauses and stops because they assume that the referee haven't given what our chat suggests is a soft penalty, although I'm not subscribing to that.
Let it go, move on.
I'm just triggering people, Ben. Maybe people stop and expect the referee to give another penalty for us, and that's why everyone clocks off. But fair play to Burns, and as Dave has already said a couple of times, I think his best appearance of the season so far. Obviously, going away with Wales boosted his confidence a little bit, but no less than we deserved. And what a weird game it was, though, when you think about it. And great for us that we scored straight after that penalty, having had the wind taken out of our sails, as I said. And then Portman Road, pack out Portman Road. The fans get involved and start reversing the S-housery on the opposition for once.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're right. Edwards was just so positive, wasn't he? I love that.
Direct,
out and out winger, absolutely. Right fullback. I'm going to take you to and he does, and it's superb and great because I think we've all said on the pod that you've seen it, that he's got it in flashes. He's got pace. He's seemingly 2-footed. He really does look the part. So. Let's hope he can just take it forward from there. And as Rich said, he's obviously trained and caught the manager's eye, and hence he's got his reward. Just a word on Burns, probably. I guess in Welsh training, wide right, he's probably just benefited from picking up 60-yard crossfield balls from Gareth Bale, probably.
Easy.
Okay, I'll just bring this one down. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I just think over the last couple of years, it's become less of a thing, a winger. Going back into that wing-back position. When you look at how teams play now and when they set up from the goal kick, they're miles up the pitch. Anyway, I've seen Chris Willock, who's like one of the best attackers in the Championship, play wing-back for QPR, but it's just a winger from so I don't have an issue. I know we've sort of seen Caden Jackson there and Kyle Edwards there in the kind of last couple of weeks. But
Mick used to say he's got chalk on his boots.
Chalk on his boots. Just fantastic. Not just winning. Look, I would have taken a boring 2-0. You take the 2 in and the throw, and maybe that was the only way we win the game, by literally bang, bang, goal, 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 at the end there. Maybe it would have been a nervy 2-2 in the last 10 minutes. But just final reflections, Rich.
Yeah, it's interesting that I mentioned the crowd getting involved as well, and a few people. I mean, everyone's gonna have a different opinion on that one. My perspective is, I've sat here for 2 years, 3 years, even watching teams come to Portman Road, and they're not here for a football match. As long as Saturday was going to be a football match, I think we were going to win that, and that has proven to be the case. If the fans want to hold on to the ball, as long as it doesn't get a bit stupid, and it probably crossed the line a little bit, and there was a situation down in the front of the Cobbles stand, but that's frustration at Portsmouth as well. I think all of us probably, and I don't want to be unnecessarily critical, because there's different ways to win football matches. Ours has got maybe the purest way, and we can feel very smug about that. But frankly, if we don't get promoted and Portsmouth do, then what good is it? So there's got to be a bit of an edge to it. And McKenna came out and said some really interesting things at full time as well. There was just a bit of an edge to us, and a competitive edge, which I really liked. And part of that is the crowd getting involved in the way they did. And as long as it's not stupid, and the referee's going to add time on, I'm partial to a little bit of it, if I'm honest. But psychologically, Ben, just a big win that after the 2 matches previous, and Portsmouth turning up unbeaten and trying their best to kind of spoil it as a tie.
Side with some good players, honestly, yeah.
And the fact that Karoma and Scarlett, apart from the penalty, Scarlett really didn't feature. We have to take a lot of credit out of that. But psychologically, Ben, I think it just feels like a lot of monkeys are far back, as it were.
I just think there's more examples of the likes of Gareth Ainsworth and Paul Warne being promoted. I'm racking my brain. I'm thinking about Mark Robbins, Coventry. They kind of, were sort of fairly fluid. But generally, it is these workaday. I've even heard Paul Warne in his interview now over at Derby saying, what did he say about the third tier? Sometimes you've just got to turn the defence and you'll win games.
Yeah,
that's simple.
Just get out of it. And a lot of
it will work.
There's a lot of purist chat in our Telegram group about the way that we set up is means that moving up to the Championship is going to be more straightforward. We've got to get out of this league, and it's really it adds credibility to the fact that McKenna and Martin Pert have and all the background team have figured out a strategy here that's going to give us more points. You look at the points on the board in League One this time last season. We are ahead of where I think Wigan and others were at this point last season, and certainly where we are. I think we were bottom half on 10 points at this point. So even though we are playing this attacking, passing style of football, it's working so far. And if it could work against Portsmouth, it'll mean it works against probably most of the rest of the division, because Pompey will be one of the best exponents of it, won't they?
Oh yes, Dave.
No, I agree. I agree pretty much with that. I mean, you, Ben, quite rightly, probably extolling the virtues of Portsmouth, but they really weren't that good yesterday. They really weren't. But that might be, I'm saying in no small way that was down to our overall performance. But yeah, you spoke about Karama, you spoke about Scarlett. Didn't really see him at all. Karama was hooked fairly early, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure Karama when did he go? He went fairly early. I thought Karama went 65. He was hooked for Curtis on 65. Just a good solid performance. Probably should have the winning margin should have been greater, but as you say, a big win.
And I was just thinking yesterday. We've been talking all season holes in the squad. Experienced player, well, that's filled by Keogh. Big lump attacker has been filled by a Hadmay. Bishop had fit in nicely. He just finished off. He's been a real tough opponent for Accrington.
We played him. I thought, Rich, we played him well, didn't we? We did play him well. But he's good.
He's going to score. Rich, he's going to score loads of goals for Cowley and Portsmouth.
Yes, I mean, you've got to feel sorry for Joe Pigott, haven't you? He's probably fourth choice now back there. But I've liked Colby Bishop for ages, and I'm sorry, broken record. He used to play for Leamington FC, who I used to watch back in the Midlands, and he's had a really rapid progression through the league, but at this level, he will score 15, 20 goals for them, no problem at all. And took his penalties really well. He's a focal point. He's a menace, and against lesser teams than us, he will create havoc. So we have to. I think Dave's point is fair, isn't it? Pompey didn't really show up, and I think you have to put that down to us. Tactically, McKenna got it spot on.
I know we played them well yesterday. I know you were both there and I weren't. I still think that Pompey squad with Cowley should be above 80 points by the end of the season. I think
when we're at least.
Yeah, I think right, the only problem is I've got about 9 teams in my top 6 at the moment still, and it's not getting. No, I'm now putting Bolton,
isn't it?
Bolton and Barnsley in there as well, and Peterborough. I don't think Peterborough. We'll talk about that in a second. Right, what we're going to do, guys, we'll go over League One, then hold fire. We'll take your questions. Brilliant support, by the way. While Rich is plugging Blue Monday live, I just want you to all hit the thumbs up button on the video. It may seem silly, but it really, really helps our stream get out to as many people. Hopefully we can get 1 or 2 Pompey fans in to get their view as well. David, that's really, really too kind. A €10 super chat. Rich, Blue Monday live, go.
Yeah, I tweeted out from the Blue Monday account last night at 7:30, thinking in 6 weeks' time the doors will open to us, and hopefully
like
on the back
West
of a
saloon, yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. They'll swing open and shut behind us. And we want as many of you there as possible. It's fantastic. I mean, I have to say, since we've gone live with these shows, 3 shows a week, pretty much live now. The chat is always brilliant. Obviously, the Telegram group's been a revelation for us as well. But we'd much rather see all of you lovely people in 3 dimensions if we can. So tickets are on sale. You can head to bluemonday.itfc.co.uk. There's a link on the top of the page there, an Eventbrite link there. And if you're a paid subscriber to Telegram, we've got a discount for you as well. I'm sure nearer the day we might do some ticket giveaways as well. We know it's not a great time in terms of spending money, but plenty of stuff planned there. I've already sorted out a couple of people for to join a Q&A. We'll hopefully announce them soon, and more to follow. And hopefully, as I say, just a nice communal chat. And we have to say massive thanks to Ipswich Town for letting us do it in the Sir Boy Robson suite. Who'd have thunk it? So, yeah, Blue Monday Live, 12th of November, 7:30 start for it. Well, 7:30 for an 8 p.m. kickoff. We want plenty of fun stuff planned, and we'd love to see you there.
Dave, have you got your outfit sorted out?
Also, not yet. Just sort of deciding what to wear on the day. Obviously, weather dependent, really. But yeah, we'll
practical as ever. Guys, I can see some questions coming in for the Q&A, but we will I'll try and scroll up because I've got marker there with David's super chat there. We'll scroll up, but we just need to go over League One. So maybe I'll bang through these results. Maybe if you guys both pull out a story or other. It was Accrington 3, Morecambe 1 in the Lancashire derby up there. A bit changed by a red card, that one, but Accrington 3 wins on the bounce. Bolton are a nuisance, aren't they? They're continuing to win. They beat Mark Kennedy seemed to go all out defence against them, and they've been quite open. So I think that says a lot. A hell of a performance by Victor Adebayo for Burton. I think they're closing up now. A bit worried about Forest Green. I have to say that was 3-2. Also a bit worried about the spectre of Paul Warne and Derby. They won 2-0 at Cambridge, who done very well to hold on to Mark Bonner. I would quite happily be playing them without him in the dugout, but looks like the Exeter manager is going to go and do the Rotherham job. Charlton 1, Oxford 1, move on. Cheltenham 2, Shrews 0. Exeter 2, Bristol Rovers 0. As we say, we think Matt Taylor's going to Rotherham tomorrow, which would weaken those. But brilliant front 3 as well. Dave, you'd like them. Stansfield, Brown and Nombe up top. They're a bit of needle in that one. Fleetwood 0, Barnsley 1. They look a bit of a nuisance as well. Great assist by James Norwood. Last minute winner there. MK2, Peterborough 3. Peterborough just weird at the moment. They're either on a winning streak or a losing streak. But Poku, Jay Jones and Clark Harris up top doing the business. They're Port Vale 0, Wednesday 1. They are grinding it out. And Plymouth are just good, aren't they? They're annoyingly good. I kind of looked at that this week and I thought, Ipswich at home, that suits Plymouth way better than Wickham away does. No, 0-1 there. Richard, anyone you want to pick out in those results there from this past week?
Yeah,
get your questions in. But sorry, Rich, get your questions in, by the way, in the chat. Go ahead, Rich. Sorry.
It wasn't a great round of games for us, was it, in terms of those wins? And yeah, Barnsley we were debating whether Barnsley are the form, apart from Plymouth, obviously the form team, and it's a nice last-minute goal there, a nice cross from Norwood, as you mentioned. But what a goal from Volks, wasn't it, to get the points for Sheffield Wednesday?
Take a bit of a nick off the defender on the tackle.
Did it?
One. Did it
look like? I couldn't really tell.
It looked like he looped it more than. But you might be right. Sorry,
maybe
go ahead,
so. But yeah, it wasn't. It was. I mean, it was a good weekend for us to be winning, wasn't it? To maintain pace, and as I suggested just before, that top 8 now is really starting to compress, isn't it? And I'll let Dave talk about some of the others maybe. But yeah, Sheffield Wednesday. I was really hoping that Port Vale might hold them to a draw there, and even Plymouth took a penalty from Cosgrove to win that one. I thought on the balance of, at least on the stats, it looked like quite an even game there. So yeah, interesting one, isn't it? Yeah.
Anyway,
I think with
I think with their Argyle, aren't they, Dave?
I think with the Plymouth game, I think Schumacher he basically shook it up a bit. He played Cosgrove, who, let's face it, was a bit of a game changer when he came on against us last week. He played him.
Everyone plays big players when they play Wickham, don't they, as well?
Yeah. So, and he got up. To be fair, he got up and pegged the penalty away. Yeah, Derby's the one. You sort of think Derby a bit indifferent. Obviously, new manager now, but they win their game in hand. They'll have 20 points. So they've only played 10 games. So yeah, that was quite a decent win at Cambridge, which is never the easiest place to go, is it? But
just one for you on Tuesday night as well. This kind of trilogy.
Yeah.
Look at that, Plymouth versus Sheffield Wednesday on Tuesday night. So
the only other top 6 other than us, I think, is Bolton. Bolton are at Cheltenham. I think
Alfie May won't be playing in that one as well. So you'd fancy that. Another Bolton win, wouldn't you?
Plymouth Sheff Wed is a interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, Bolton are kind of low key lurking, aren't they, Ben? I don't think. Yeah, Bolton just...
Nothing about Ian Evett is low-key.
Well, fair point.
But they're decent.
They're still there, aren't they? Top 6? I didn't think they were.
Yeah,
I thought they'd be just outside, but...
Bradley's
very, very good, isn't he?
Yeah. And they seem to have about 5 strikers as well, and a few players coming back from...
I didn't know they had Bodvarsson still. I mean, probably I did, but then
I didn't know he'd grown his hair out. I was like, who's that when he's scoring the goal?
Did he not come on a sub against us?
He probably, he did. I mean is, like, he's just another striker off the bench for them, whereas, we've got 2, isn't it, at the moment, I think? So 3 maybe,
But I think what it speaks to when we're talking about all of these top of the table clash or what have you, it just speaks to the fact that, again, we've got this shelve in the middle. And then, I mean, you can name them all, can't you? Peterborough, Barnsley, Bolton, Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth. We thought MK would be in there. We thought Oxford would be in there as well. Those 2 have tailed off. Charlton get going. They can be good. The Derby, Barnsley, Winnersh, Didcot, Bracknell, Taplow. I've got.
What about MK Dons? I mean, they admittedly got 2 goals back to make that game.
In terms of that, they're going to struggle.
I thought, I mean, I
don't think they'll be in and around it, will they?
No, but I mean, I worry that it might be even a relegation fight. Can't defend. Defending yesterday.
They've still got Isa and McKenna will be
got
back.
Some injuries, haven't they? But
as well,
still.
I think they'll be okay. But as we found out last year, this division does not accept you having a bad start. You then literally need like 2.4 points per game to get even close if you do have a bad start.
I mean, that result flattered them a bit yesterday. I think they scored 2 goals in 90 minutes, didn't they?
But if you're a dysfunctional, nice, attractive passing team, as opposed to a moderately dysfunctional long ball team, I think you get punished more if you're the former than the latter at this level, given what we were talking about in terms of the nature of the teams that succeed at League One level. So, yeah, a little bit worrying for them.
Right, let's do some Q&A. So get your questions in. We've got loads of them. What should we say to the boys here? We'll give them, 20 seconds to answer each question. And I don't need an answer from both of you. All right? Are you ready for this? Andrew Pearson, David Diamond. At this stage, do you think we need to sign anyone in the next transfer window?
Yes, probably. Depending on probably like to see another striker coming in.
Chris, do we get to meet BB at the live event? At the moment, you don't, sadly. I think I'm going to be working on the ITV thing. Hopefully, I'll get cancelled or something, and I'll be at the event. But it's going to be a great show.
Podcaster asks to be cancelled.
It's going to be. I'll say something not controversial and be cancelled at all. Moving on, Richard. Mark, do we have the funniest problem of being so good our players switch off from not having a lot to do? Hence our goals at the start. I don't know what that means, that end bit. I know what he's saying there, Richard, in terms of that concentration and having a lot of the ball. Does that become an issue? I think he's alluding to that long ball and the first goal in the pen at the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we've long talked about League One players. They do have a little. If they were top quality and were on it 90 minutes, they wouldn't be playing in League One, if we're honest. So there is always going to be an error in there, isn't there? But we have to look at the opposition sometimes as well. They unpick the lock, as it were. But yeah, maybe there is a bit of complacency. I don't know, but it's human nature, isn't it?
So I'm just going to scroll down. A legend in the chat there. That is Nappers, outstanding blogger and a friend of mine.
Vote for him in the FCAs.
Most definitely. Yeah, do go and check him out. That guy has built a hell of a following Fleetwood.
Yes. Yeah, I love his video from last season, the 2-1. I know he wouldn't have liked it, but it was nice to see the North Stand jumping in the 2-1 last minute winner against Fleetwood.
Barles, Ben, when we get promoted, we'll be playing Norwich next season. I don't think so. Moving on. Norman, given our growing list of injuries to assist makes Norman, I think Dave covered that in the last one, but thank you for your question. Dave, I'm definitely going to let you answer this one and not Richard. Don't forget your "Can I have your shirt, Rich" signs if you're going to. we endorse that, don't we, Dave? And,
absolutely.
If you do bring a sign, Richard has to give you a shirt immediately at that point.
Immediately,
you agree, Dave?
Yeah. Rich said he'll give you that black one behind him.
Oh yes, which is hiding in there. The beautiful.
Legally, can we just? No. What I will say is, I would expect we'd have giveaways on the night. By the way, if you, I mean, no one wants to see me take my shirt off. Let's be honest.
I kind of do now, and I want to see the guy bring the sign. So I'm putting it out there. Ramo in the room. Feel bad for Jackson. Does he also miss out on Tuesday? I think, and I don't want to come across like I'm bashing the question there from Ramo. I think we need to move away from this and say there's 50 games if we actually do something in the Papa. Don't feel bad for someone that gets rotated out. He's got a job to do. Richard mentioned he's going to be in away games. We may well see him on Tuesday. If McKenna's doing his job right with the man management and the wins keep coming, it won't be a problem leaving people out, Dave. Do you agree?
I agree. I'd say we'd more likely perhaps see him at Morecambe on Saturday.
Okay. David, will I meet you guys? Yes. We're all going to meet you in, David, after all your super chats and take you for dinner.
With loads of merch.
Richard, this is from Rob. Of the teams we've played so far, in fact, let's all have a go at this one. This is a good one. Ooh. Who do you think will end up in the other automatic? I'm going to rephrase that. That sounds a bit too confident. That from Rob. Who are you seeing being amongst the highest challenges, Rich?
I look at Plymouth and I look at Sheffield Wednesday, and I think there is a bad run in there waiting to happen. But I think the top 8 is basically the top 8 now. I'd be really surprised if someone goes on a surge.
Don't you think Peterborough could win like 9 games out of 12 and score 45 goals?
And maybe my point goes both ways on that in that respect as well. You know, I think maybe I underestimate Plymouth, so I will stick. Maybe Plymouth.
I'm higher on Plymouth, Rich, than Sheffield Wednesday.
I agree with that. And
Wednesday got a better squad, but I think Plymouth are better coached.
I think Plymouth have got it. And in terms of the attacking teams that we were talking about playing passing football, they are in there as well. Maybe Barnsley might sneak it. They just feel really consistent at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the form side. They and Plymouth are the 2 form sides at the moment. Yeah. Dave
Pompey will keep churning out.
No, I think you're right. You know, we were very good yesterday, so I think I want to be too disparaging about them. You know, because look at the team, and you're quite rightly said the squad they've got. Yeah, they'll be there.
Right, sorry, where did I go? I scrolled down there. Mullet, Dave, do we rest anyone against Cambridge to give them a week to get ready for Morecambe, or just carry on? I think we do.
The one I thought he went down couple of times yesterday was Davis when he went down and then he got clattered, I think, by Dale and he went down. I mean, he saw the game. No, he didn't see the game out. He was placed just before the end, almost right at the end by Vincent Young, wasn't he? Maybe I don't know, depending on what on how he got over yesterday. But other than that, didn't seem to be any others carrying injuries, did it? I didn't really see that. I think Ladapo starts. Ladapo certainly starts, I think, on Tuesday. And yeah, I mean, the rest, just who knows, really? Who knows?
I think we've got to get used to this rotation now, haven't we? I checked in with a Mark Bonner interview. He was talking about and we've got way more resources than Cambridge. That's not being cocky about it. He was talking about rotating 8 players across for his front 4. I'm sure that rotation will involve Jack Lancaster definitely starting at Portman Road as well. But I think we kind of got to get used to this now, haven't you? That it is going to be back and forth, particularly with the likes of John Jules and Jackson, and maybe, like Dave says, wing backs where there's a lot of physicality. Yeah,
the good thing is the rotation isn't arbitrary. It's not like, well, I'm just going to rest 8 players or a load of players because they ran through brick walls for me on Saturday. The rotation is tactical when McKenna does it. Maybe I'm blowing smoke a little bit here, but our front options, and Edwards has now played himself, to be a real selection option in that number 10 role potentially. So, if you wanted to give him some minutes because he's earned it, Don Ball could come in and I don't think we would lose anything as a result of it. So, yeah, I think I'm quite happy with it. And as I mentioned before, if we're rotating and it's not affecting us, the opposition aren't ready for it, then, bring it on.
Yeah, the only worry with Davis is that if he doesn't, say, he did go down a couple of times yesterday. The only thing with Davis is that, unfortunately, Lee's out for a good while, and you lose that balance, don't you? But yeah.
Can I just take this one from Norman with my championship hat on? Seeing how last season's promoted teams are doing in the championship, how do you think the current squad would do? Norman, do check in each month because don't expect Rotherham, Wigan. Who else went up? Sunderland. Sunderland will probably stay the course, I think. But Rotherham, have had a great start. Wigan are the best away team in the division and a much smaller squad-wise. And you've got a few odd bods. Coventry won't still be in the bottom 3. If West Brom and Middlesbrough are still in the bottom 3, well, managers will be gone within the next few weeks as well. And I don't suspect Hull, unless their owner's going to be a complete train wreck, will stay down there. So just keep your eyes on that, Norman. I know it looks like they're all flying at the moment and they've got a bit of momentum, but expect the trend to be, other than maybe Sunderland, expect the trend to be down, Dave.
Surely Steve Bruce is on borrowed time, isn't he? I know he wasn't one of the promoted, but crikey,
not popular there, is he?
No.
Yeah. I'm all over it. I expected him to do well, and I'm being very wrong yet again. But remember, this is the guy who predicted Huddersfield.
I saw your comment. Was it Thursday? Was it Thursday when the Hull manager got canned? You said, "Just give me a break. Give me some.
Well, I was all prepped for Mark Bonner going to Rotherham, and it's like, right, I've got all this prepped. Oh no, right, we're going to get Watford fire their manager and then Hull fire their manager.
See Wolves sack manager today.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's going to be carnage in October. I think.
Log's gone. Yeah.
There's about 4 managers who are long overdue a sacking.
Yeah.
Pre-World Cup.
He's one of them.
Yeah. Right. Talk to me then. I know we'll probably go in a bit. Oh, no, actually, because it's a quick turnaround. Talk to me about Cambridge then, Richard. And honestly, it would have been good news if Mr. Bonner had gone ahead of this game. But they're a good side, aren't they? So well organised.
Yeah, and 10th in the league. This really weird record. They've got 5 wins and 5 defeats, 1 draw so far this season. And off the back of that defeat we talked about to Derby, but they generally win the games they need to win. Probably better at home than they are away. But Mark Bonner's got them, really well drilled, and we need to reflect on the fact that they are the last team to beat us in the league at Portman Road. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, and it's as much as we're all on the high after Saturday, if we don't put in a performance against Cambridge, kind of that win against Pompey doesn't really count a huge amount. It's the psychological boost against the top six is great. But these are the teams last season, as we know, we were dropping points against. So if we want to maintain that form, there's how many? I'm trying to do my maths here. 8 minus 24 minus 1. These are the teams that we need to be beating.
Dave, they've got goals there as well, haven't they? Nibs, and we know all about Lancaster off the front, and Ironside and Smith always go through little purple patches as well.
I really like Ironside in the game against us at Portman Road. I think it was 1st of April, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely super. I mean, I know he scored the goal, but he was just a handful throughout, wasn't he? And certainly one that had we looked at him, in pre-season and made it, and perhaps gone for him, I wouldn't have been too disappointed with that. I mean, I know some people out there, you see comments saying, "Well, he's not really what we want. He's not really up to what we want." But I think he's decent. So, yeah, do you know what? Bonner's almost got that us against them mentality there, isn't it? They are punching above their weight. They have got little resources, and I kind of like that, So yeah, we have got to be up for it we've certainly got to be up for it on Tuesday. Because it could get cool.
Let's take a little look at the league table, which does make good reading. Plymouth, you know what? Should we make that a little bit bigger?
I mean, it's all those. Again, we said this last season. It's all those greens in the top.
Oh, stop it! Yeah, there's about 8 teams who have won 2 on the bounce. Looking at that, but so yeah, Plymouth out in front, and it's so hard to figure out how this can go because I'm about to say you can't get it where 8 teams all go, but that's exactly what happened last season, didn't it? You normally get 2 or 3 at most go at the top, don't you? But so Plymouth on 25, but even looking at it now, well above the 2 points per game, which is fantastic. And I know the chat will probably shoot me down, but if it was 6 points across the next, always look at that. Joe Royal 2 points per game, Dave. If it was 6 points, Cambridge, who was it? Cambridge, Morecambe, and then Lincoln. Mark Kennedy and Lincoln, isn't it? You're then at 30 points from 14 games, which is
it's still keeping that 2 point.
Yeah,
you'd hope for a bit. You'd hope for 7, wouldn't you? I think out of those 3, I'd certainly hope for 7. Maybe I'm being a bit greedy there, but yeah, you would think so. I mean, what are you seeing as the best? Here's the thing: what are you seeing as the best result for us, Plymouth, Sheff Wed? What are you seeing as the best result for us there?
If we, I'll let Richard answer that in a sec. But if we're being very mentally strong here, Dave, irrelevant. We do us.
No, good point.
2 points per game, 92 points.
We'll take care of business.
I've got a higher upside for Plymouth, Rich, than Sheffield Wednesday. So I'd like to see damage done.
And also, to date this season, they've been pretty dominant against the rest of the top 6, haven't they, or top 8?
Are they playing at home, Plymouth?
Yes.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. We'll learn a lot, Rich, won't we? If Sheffield Wednesday go there and win, I owe Darren Moore an apology.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, to be honest, if that happens. But bring it on. I mean, a draw would be fantastic. If we win, we go back to the top of the league. We've got a 2 point gap. Is my maths right? 2 point gap on.
Yeah.
And then we would have a 3 point gap on Sheffield Wednesday, wouldn't we? I think. So yeah, draw, please.
Yeah, and he's right, Dave, isn't it? It's taking those. Mick Mills always used to say it, didn't it? Taking those 3 pointers off the table. Draws take points out of the pot, don't they?
Yeah.
100%. Right. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. We are coming up the hour. Richard, how did the ladies go today? You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, 3-0 win. Very comfortable. Goals.
Crawley was it?
Crawley Wasps. Yeah, another team named after an insect. Unsavable penalty from Bonnie Horwood right in the corner. Smashed it in there. Freya Godfrey, the player we signed from Arsenal, was under 21s, joint registration. Really lovely, cultured finish. And then Natasha Thomas with a header at the end. Play Oxford next week. It's going to be a tough game. And I need to say thank you. I need to blow my own trumpet. I was on the PA for the second half. That's long story. But I was announcing the game second half, guys, the subs and the third goal. So that was one of my bucket list kind of moments ticked off there. So thank you to Kieran.
Did you get the subs right? Did you get the subs right?
Did
you get the pronunciation right?
Basically, Kieran told me what to say, and I just said it. But it probably took us half an hour to get the levels right, Ben.
Tell me that Sarah Bracera Carrera wasn't subbed.
She'd already got off, thankfully, first half.
That's always a tricky one, that one. Always a tricky
guys,
one.
thank you so
fantastic,
much.
Mate.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. It was Gary and David, as ever, in the with the super chats. Very, very kind. Before you go, make sure you hit the like button. Have a think about joining us over on Telegram. Great chat going there. The more points we get, the busier the chat gets, which is that's not true, is it? When we lose, it's very, very busy as well, isn't it? But do come and join us over on Telegram and Blue Monday Live. Come and join us after the Cheltenham. Is that the right fixture, Rich? The Cheltenham game in December. Is that the right month?
November 12th.
November. I've got nothing written down.
Saturday,
here.
12th November.
One job to do.
One job. Oh, come on. I'm doing the whole desk.
Yeah, it's
nonsense, isn't it? Right. Thank you Thank you ever so much for watching. It put me out of my misery here. Last word from you, Dave.
No, all I'd like to say is landline bingo rolls over for another 2 or 3 days, possibly till Wednesday, maybe till next Sunday. So all those who had, obviously, I don't know. I think it was 846 was the most popular. That rolls over. That rolls over for at least another week.
Landline Bing. Can we get a theme? The theme tune.
Mate, it's going to be like the Euro. It's going to be like the Euro Millions soon. It's going to be huge. I know.
Talking telephone numbers. It'll be like that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been the Blue Monday podcast. We won a big game. God damn it. We'll see you next time.